So I'm starting again for on the topic of limbic system. Firstly, let us talk about the functions of the limbic system. The first function of the limbic system is reception and integration of the olfactory stimuli. The reception and integration of the olfactory stimuli. The second is homeostatic responses. Short term is preservation of self, finding food, water, shelter, and protection from the dangers. So therefore, if you see animals, in them their limbic system or olfactory system or smelling sensation is very, very prominent. And they do the preservation of self. You give something to eat to a dog, it will smell and eat. Even if it has to sleep, it has to drink water, it will smell and eat. And long term is preservation of species, where finding a mate, rearing of young ones. This is also done by the animals with the help of olfactory system. Whenever a cow comes back to its cattle shed and the calf runs to it, the cow smells the calf and confirms that it is her calf. So they completely work on the olfactory system. In our body, we don't use olfactory system so much for preservation of self and species, but lower animals, they use it. Third is emotions. The limbic system is the one which is responsible for the emotions. And fourth, it is responsible for recent memory. Recent memory. It is responsible for recent memory. So emotions and behavior, recent memory and memory pattern. So these are the main functions of the limbic system. Okay. The reception and integration of olfactory stimulus, homeostatic responses, short term for preservation of self, long term for preservation of species, emotions and behavior, and recent memory. Now let us list out the various components, of limbic system. And the first component of this is olfactory tract. The second is the amygdaloid body. The third is septal areas. Fourth is hippocampus. Apart from this, cingulate gyrus, indusium griseum, the hippocampus, the indusium griseum, these all are also part of the limbic system. Okay. Some part of the some nuclei of the hypothalamus are also part of the limbic system. Now hypothalamus is also the highest center for the autonomic nervous system, and that is why the hypothalamus controls emotions also. It controls the autonomic nervous system also. And this is how hypothalamus is responsible, is the one which is involved in emotions also, and it is involved in autonomic nervous system. And this is how our emotions, they affect. This is how our emotions affect the autonomic nervous system. Now let us study the first part, the first component of the autonomic nervous system, and that is the olfactory tract. That is the olfactory tract. Now the olfactory tract, you know, begins at the olfactory epithelium in the nasal cavities. So on the top of the nose, in this area is olfactory epithelium. And from the base of this epithelium, from the base of the epithelium, 15 to 20 olfactory nerves, they arise. 15 to 20 olfactory nerves arise, and these olfactory nerves, they pierce the cribriform plate of ethmoid and go into the olfactory bulb. From the olfactory bulb, so this is olfactory bulb. So these are 15 to 20 olfactory nerves. This is olfactory bulb, and this is the olfactory tract. Olfactory bulb and olfactory tract. Okay. So therefore, this is supposed to be the most closest. This is supposed to be the most closest uh, part to the external stimulus. Most closest part of the central nervous system to the external stimulus. And therefore you realize somebody falls unconscious. We immediately put an onion or a shoe near the person's nose, because nose, and through the nose the smell goes here and here into the central nervous system and immediately stimulates the brain. While if we pinch the person, uh, if we pinch the person on the leg, the stimulus will go up to the spinal cord, then through the first order, second order, third order nuclei to the cerebrum. So therefore, we always, try to give the smell of an onion or garlic, all those, all those vegetables which have a very pungent smell. Other, other option, other option which we help, other option which, other option which we use is, sprinkling water on the face of the person. Again, because face is close to the central nervous system. Now let us draw the olfactory tract and what happens after the olfactory bulb. So this is the olfactory bulb. Okay, this is the olfactory bulb which has received the olfactory nerves. It has received this olfactory nerve. And this olfactory bulb then leads to olfactory tract. So this is olfactory bulb. This is olfactory tract. This olfactory tract divides into medial, lateral, and intermediate olfactory stria. Medial, intermediate, and lateral olfactory stria. Now, the medial olfactory stria, they, you know, they go to the anterior commissure, they go to the anterior commissure and paraterminal gyrus. Now, what is paraterminal gyrus? You may have studied the corpus callosum, and in the corpus callosum has following parts: the splenium, sorry, and the genu, the body, fornix, and then from here there is this lamina terminalis, and in front of lamina terminalis is the paraterminal gyrus. Okay, so all this paraterminal gyrus and septal areas, in the corpus callosum below is septum pellucidum, and inside that is also some gray matter. So this gray matter plus this, they together form the septal areas. The intermediate olfactory stria, they end in the anterior perforated substance. They end in the anterior perforated substance. And the lateral olfactory stria, it goes and ends in lateral olfactory gyrus, they end in the lateral olfactory gyrus, gyrus ambiens, and gyrus semilunaris. They end in the lateral olfactory gyrus, gyrus ambiens, and gyrus semilunaris. And gyrus semilunaris. This gyrus semilunaris is a part of amygdaloid complex. It is a part of amygdaloid complex. Together, all these three areas, together they form primary olfactory complex. Together they form primary olfactory complex. From here, it goes to secondary olfactory complex. Secondary olfactory complex. This secondary olfactory complex is located in uncus or anterior part of parahippocampal gyrus. Uncus or anterior part of parahippocampal gyrus. the primary and secondary. So this primary and secondary together form what is called as pyriform lobe. What is called as pyriform lobe or pyriform cortex of the cerebrum concerned with olfaction. So I'll repeat again. The olfactory system is an integral part of the limbic system. It starts with 15 to 20 olfactory nerves from the olfactory epithelium in the upper part of the nose, and they pierce the graviform plate of ethmoid, go to the olfactory bulb. From the olfactory bulb starts the olfactory tract. This olfactory tract goes behind and divides into medial, intermediate, and lateral olfactory stria. The medial stria go to the paraterminal gyrus and anterior commissure. Intermediate go to anterior perforated substance, and the lateral they go to the lateral olfactory gyrus, gyrus ambiens, gyrus semilunaris in the amygdaloid area, form the primary olfactory complex. From there, it goes to secondary olfactory complex or uncus. Secondary olfactory complex or uncus. Primary and secondary are together form as pyriform lobe or pyriform cortex, which is concerned with olfaction of the cerebrum. So now we start with the second component of the limbic system, and which is amygdaloid complex. The amygdaloid complex. This amygdaloid complex is located in the temporal pole. It is located in the temporal pole. Okay. And it is very close to gyrus semilunaris. Very close to gyrus semilunaris. Now let us talk about the afferents of the amygdaloid complex. What are the afferents of the amygdaloid complex? Now suppose this is the amygdaloid complex. One afferent we have already seen. One afferent we have already seen just now, and that was there was this olfactory nerves, olfactory bulb, olfactory tract, and this olfactory tract goes into medial stria, intermediate stria, and lateral olfactory stria. Lateral olfactory stria. So that is the one afferent. Now there is something called as median forebrain bundle. Median forebrain bundle. So from the thalamus and the hypothalamus. From the thalamus and the hypothalamus, and the midbrain reticular formation. And the midbrain reticular formation. Runs up to the amygdaloid complex and the septal areas, runs a bundle of fibers called as median forebrain bundle. Median forebrain bundle. Okay, it runs through the thalamus, hypothalamus, thalamus, midbrain reticular formation to the amygdala. So these are the two afferents. These are the two afferents. One is lateral olfactory striatum and other afferent is median forebrain bundle, which is getting fibers from thalamus, hypothalamic nuclei, and midbrain reticular formation. Median forebrain bundle. Now let's talk about the efferents. Now let's talk about the efferents of the amygdaloid complex. The efferents of the amygdaloid complex. This the efferent of the amygdaloid complex is called as stria terminalis. Is called as stria terminalis. You may have heard the word stria terminalis before. It is present in the coronal section of the ventricles of brain. So this stria terminalis passes through the floor of the central part of the lateral ventricle, and then it ends in this stria terminalis. It ends in the septal areas. It ends in the septal areas. It ends in the various thalamic and hypothalamic areas. Okay. It also goes to the anterior perforated substance. So these are the connections of the amygdaloid. So efferents they go via a bundle called as stria terminalis. So what is stria terminalis? It is the efferent of the amygdaloid complex. It passes through the floor of the central part of the lateral ventricle and it ends in the septal areas, anterior perforated substance, thalamic and hypothalamic. Not exactly to the thalamic and hypothalamic. It goes to the anterior hypothalamic nuclei basically, and through stria medullaris thalami, it goes to the habenular nucleus. So even if you remember septal areas, the hypothalamic nucleus, anterior perforated substance, and habenular nuclei, that is fine. So again, I'll just repeat about the amygdaloid complex. The amygdaloid complex is located at the temporal pole near the gyrus semilunaris. It has two afferents, one from the lateral olfactory stria and another coming from median forebrain bundle. Median forebrain bundle connects the amygdaloid complex with hypothalamic nuclei, thalamic nuclei, midbrain reticular formation. The efferent of the amygdaloid complex is called as the stria terminalis. And this stria terminalis takes the fibers from the amygdaloid to the septal areas, anterior perforated substance, hypothalamic nuclei, and through stria medullaris thalami to the habenular nucleus. It has one more efferent. It has one more efferent called as ventral amygdalofugal pathway. Ventral amygdalofugal pathway, which ends in the thalamus and hypothalamic nucleus. There is one more efferent pathway, ventral amygdalofugal pathway, which goes to the thalamus, specifically the median dorsal nucleus of the thalamus and the hypothalamus. Okay, so this pathway is called as ventral amygdalofugal pathway. Ventral amygdalofugal pathway. Efferents are two, afferents are two. One efferent is lateral olfactory stria, another is median forebrain bundle. One efferent is stria terminalis and second is ventral amygdalofugal pathway, which takes it to the medial dorsal nucleus of thalamus, median dorsal nucleus of thalamus and hypothalamus. Okay, so try to assimilate this. So now we start with the third component. We start with the third component of the limbic system, and that is septal areas. The septal areas. Now, septal areas consist of gray matter. It consists of gray matter in the septum pellucidum. In the septum pellucidum and in the paraterminal gyrus. Paraterminal gyrus is anterior to the lamina terminalis. Now let us check the afferents. From where does the afferents come to the septal areas? One afferent we have already seen, and that is through the medial olfactory stria. So it is getting the olfactory fibers. It is getting the olfactory fibers via medial olfactory stria. Second is it is getting connection from the amygdaloid complex via stria terminalis. It is getting connected with the hippocampus. Hippocampus is the fourth component which we are going to study after some time. And like stria terminalis is the efferent of the amygdaloid, the hippocampus has a efferent called as fornix. In the sagittal section of the cerebrum, you must have seen below the septum pellucidum a structure called as fornix. Fornix is nothing but fibers coming from the hippocampus. And it is connected with the hypothalamus. And the midbrain reticular formation. Midbrain reticular formation via median forebrain bundle, which we have already studied. Via median forebrain bundle. These are the afferents. These are the afferents of the septal areas. Olfactory via medial olfactory stria, amygdaloid via stria terminalis, hippocampus via fornix, hypothalamus and median reticular formation via median forebrain bundle. The efferents, they go to the hippocampus. They go to the hippocampus via fornix. They go to the hypothalamus and median reticular formation and midbrain reticular formation via median forebrain bundle, and they go to the habenular nuclei. They go to the habenular nuclei via stria medullaris thalami. So the efferents, you have to remember the three H: hippocampus via fornix, hypothalamus and median reticular formation via median forebrain bundle, and habenular nuclei via stria medullaris thalami. The olfactory system may not be asked as a long question in the first year university exam. May not be, they can ask also. But these basic concepts, that fornix is the efferent bundle of hippocampus and stria terminalis is the efferent bundle of amygdaloid, and median forebrain bundle connects the hypothalamus, thalamus and midbrain reticular formation to the septal areas and amygdaloid. These are few concepts which get cleared and questions are asked on this as MCQs in the PG entrance examination. So right now, again, I'm revising for you the afferents of firstly the septal area. Septal area is the gray matter in the septum pellucidum. Gray matter in the septum pellucidum in the para terminal gyrus. Okay, and it has following afferents from the olfactory via medial olfactory stria, from the amygdaloid via stria terminalis, from the hippocampus via fornix, from the hypothalamus and midbrain reticular formation via midbrain median forebrain bundle, and efferents are going to the hippocampus via fornix, hypothalamus via median forebrain bundle, hypothalamus and median midbrain reticular formation via median forebrain bundle, and habenular nuclei via stria medullaris thalami. So now we are going into the final part of, or the fourth part of the limbic system, and that fourth part is hippocampal formation. Now, where is this hippocampal formation located? On the inferior surface of the brain when we studied, there is collateral sulcus, and medial to the collateral sulcus is the parahippocampal gyrus. In the depth of this parahippocampal gyrus is located the hippocampus. This hippocampus represents a very, very old, primitive brain, because most of it, the component is only, it's a three-layered cortex. You must have studied the histology of the central nervous system, and histology of the central nervous system. There you must have studied that most of the part is 6 layered, while this part is 3 layered. The hippocampal formation is 3 layered. So it is something like this. Initially, and then it becomes like this. This is the neocortex. Then finally, what the picture what we get is like this. This part is called as dentate gyrus. This part is called as cornu ammonis. This part is called as cibiculum, and this part is called as the neocortex. Neocortex or the parahippocampal gyrus. So dentate gyrus, cornu ammonis, and cibiculum, they form the hippocampal formation. What are the afferents? What are the afferents of the hippocampal formation? One, now I told you that the bundle of nerves which starts from the hippocampus is called as fornix. So the connections will be to all the other areas of the limbic system. So septal areas via fornix, indusium griseum, which is located near the corpus callosum, above the corpus callosum, via the dorsal fornix, then to the other hippocampus, via the commissure of fornix. To the cingulate gyrus, via the cingulum, and to the parahippocampal gyrus. Cingulum, we have studied the white matter. There are the superior longitudinal, inferior longitudinal bundle. So there is a cingulum, bundle called cingulum, which connects the hippocampus with the cingulate gyrus. Parahippocampal gyrus via alveolar and perforating pathways. So this is the parahippocampal gyrus. So the fibers pass like this. So these are called as alveolar and perforating pathways. So these are the 5 afferents of the hippocampus: septal area, indusium griseum, the other hippocampus, cingulate gyrus, and parahippocampal gyrus. Now coming to the Coming to the last component of today's lecture, and that is the formation of fornix, which is the efferent of the hippocampus. Efferent of the hippocampus. Okay. So formation of the fornix. We are studying now how the fornix is being formed. So on the hippocampus, suppose this is the hippocampus. On the hippocampus, there is a white layer. There is a white layer of fibers, white matter, which is called. So this is the hippocampus. This white layer is called as alveus. From this alveus, fibers get collected and now called as fimbriae. Now the fiber are called as fimbriae or fimbria. This fimbria, as they reach the splenium of the corpus callosum, there is the splenium. Some of it goes above the splenium. Okay, some of it goes above the splenium, and this is called as dorsal fornix. There are three ways in which it behaves. One goes above, one goes to the opposite side, one goes to the opposite side, and this is called as commissure of fornix. Commissure of fornix. And third goes below, and one coming from the other side also joins it, and together now they are called as body of the fornix. Body of the fornix. So alveus, fimbriae, they behave in they divide into three pathways. One goes above to indusium grossium called as dorsal fornix. One goes to the opposite side called as commissural fornix, and one goes below the body of the splenium and unites with the opposite side of fornix to form the body of fornix. Okay. Now this basically this third part is called as the crura. The crura from both the sides they unite to form body of the fornix. This goes ahead and near the anterior commissure, it divides into two parts, the pre-commissural and post-commissural fiber. Okay, the pre-commissural and post-commissural fiber, and these are called as the columns. These are called as columns. Okay. So this is anterior commissure. So what is now going to happen is body of the fornix is going to split into two columns, the pre-commissural and post-commissural. Pre-commissural and post-commissural. The pre-commissural, they go to the paraterminal areas, hypothalamic nuclei, and post-commissural go to thalamic nuclei, and also the hypothalamic nuclei, and via striamedullaris thalamus to the habenular nuclei. So again, I'll revise for you the formation of the fornix. The fornix starts from the hippocampus. There are white fibers over the hippocampus called as alveus. From this alveus start the fimbriae. The fimbriae, as they approach the splenium, they divide into three parts. One goes above the splenium as dorsal fornix. One goes to the opposite side as commissural fornix. One goes below the splenium as crura of the fornix. The two crura of the opposite side of both the sides, they unite with each other to form body of the fornix, which near the anterior commissure unites into columns, the pre-commissural and post-commissural. Pre-commissural go to the paraterminal gyrus, and post-commissural they go to the thalamic and hypothalamic nuclei. So this is how the efferent of the hippocampus, they go to endozium gracium via dorsal fornix. They go to the opposite hippocampus via commissure of fornix. They go to the hypothalamic and paraterminal areas or the precommissural areas, septal areas via the precommissural columns, and postcommissural columns go to the thalamic nuclei, hypothalamic nuclei, and habenular nuclei via stria medullaris thalami. So with that, I stop my lecture on the limbic system. We discussed 4 parts today: olfactory system, amygdaloid system, septal areas, and we also studied the hippocampal formation, its afferents and its efferents. Efferent of the hippocampus is via fornix, which begins as alveus, continues as fimbriae. Fimbriae divide into 3 parts. One goes as dorsal fornix, one goes to the opposite side as commissure of fornix, one goes below the body as crura. The two crura of both the sides unite to form body of the fornix, which divides into columns, precommissural, postcommissural. Precommissural go to paraterminal areas, and postcommissural goes to thalamic and hypothalamic nuclei.